Hello, my magnificent class. Mrs. Adams here, and I brought my friend Pinky the Frog. Today, we're going to go over our vocabulary from Classical Roots book. We're going to talk about some strategies of how you can get through this book, and we're going to finish up Lesson 5 that we started today in class. Remember, this is a recorded lesson, so you can always pause the video, rewind, and play it again if you want to hear the information repeated. Before we start into Lesson 5, I'd like you to turn to the very back cover of your book. So open your book up and go to the very last page on the inside of the back cover. Here, I've written out 4 different strategies to help you practice being an active reader and to help you be a detective to solve the questions and find the answers for all the exercises in this book. So please take these notes in the back of your book along with me. Roots Book Strategies. The first strategy I'd like to suggest is to highlight the root words in each lesson. There are usually at least 2 root words per lesson. So knowing the root words and what they mean will make a big difference as you work through the questions. Number 2, highlight what the exercise is asking you to do. A lot of times, the exercise will change its instructions, so it's really important to know what it is that they want you to focus on. The third strategy is to read the definition and example sentence for each word in bold, because there might be more than one definition. Sometimes a word means more than one thing. And when you go into the exercises and they're asking a question, they might be asking a question about one of the definitions and not the other. And the fourth strategy is to use the process of elimination to narrow your options. The process of elimination means to eliminate or get rid of and cross out some of the choices that you are positive do not fit. Then you are left with less choices, meaning your options are narrowed to choose from, which will make it easier to figure out. Your percentage of getting it right will increase. So, keep these Roots book strategies in mind as we work through the lessons this year. Let's go ahead and turn to page 21, Lesson 5. So in class today, we did the first page of Lesson 5 together. At the top, you'll see that the root words for these lessons are scribe, script, and graph. When we take a look down at the very bottom, once we pass the clues section, you're going to notice that there is a title before the definitions of the words begin. Each section of root word has a title and the meaning of the root word followed by whichever words fit in that root. So for example, scribe, script, from this Latin word means to write. These are the important elements that you should highlight: the meaning and the root words. The first definition is postscript, and all the words following will have this root inside the word. If we turn the page to page 22, you can see here we have script in prescription, scribe in prescribe, scribe, script, and subscription. On the next page, you're going to notice the next heading. This title of this section is for the second root word of Lesson 5, which is graph. Graph means to write and to record. Make sure that you're highlighting or underline the same places I do, because this will help you when we begin the exercises for your eyes to come back and find these sections more easily. You'll notice that all the definitions underneath this title have to do with that root word. Biography has graph. Autobiographical has graph. Autograph has graph. Biography has graph. Geography has graph. Paragraph has graph. Let's go ahead to turn the page onto page 24. The first exercise on page 24 is exercise A. Let's take a look at what the exercise is asking us to do. That was one of our strategies. Exercise A is all about synonyms. Write the letter of the best synonym, and synonym means, parentheses, the word or phrase that most nearly is the same in meaning as the word in boldface type. Boldface is just the darker, thicker letters. For example, the word autograph is in boldface type because the letters are darker and thicker. Now, this exercise is asking us to find the best synonym. They want you to find the word that is closest to the meaning, that almost means the same thing as the word that's in bold. So let's take a look at number 1. The best way to go about these multiple choice, which means you have more than one choice answers, is to first read all of your choices and then eliminate, with the process of elimination, the ones that do not fit. So, seeking an autograph. Autograph does not mean famous person, so we can cross that out. But the rest of these might be pretty similar. So the next strategy is to find the word autograph in the definitions on the previous page. So let's go to the heading that has the root word graph. We're going to turn our page backwards, and we're going to go to the graph section and find our word. It wasn't autobiography, it was autograph. Let's read the definitions. Autograph. To sign one's name. You'll notice that there's another definition. This one is a noun. The one before it was a verb. V for verb, N for noun. The other definition for autograph is a signature. Now that we've read the definitions, both the verb and the noun of autograph, let's go back to number 1 to see if we can eliminate any more. Well, immediately what stands out to me is the option A is signature, and that was the noun definition for autograph. So I'm going to circle A, and I'm also going to write the letter A. So pause the video here and see if you can use the strategy that is the process of elimination and going back and reading the definition for the word in bold before you try to answer the question. Pause here and complete 2 through 5. Welcome back. How'd you do? Let's check your answers. To read a postscript. If we look back and read the definition for postscript, all the way back on this page. Postscript is a noun, so that's a person, place, or thing. A postscript is a note added after ending a letter, often abbreviated as PS. You might have seen letters or written letters that finish with a PS at the end of your signature. Did you know that that stands for postscript? So if that goes at the end of the signature, let's turn back to our lesson. To read a postscript, I remember that it's talking about being after something. So is it returning an address, opening of a letter? Is it an envelope? Or is a postscript the section after a signature? A postscript is the section after a signature. Number 3, a new subscription. So we're going to turn to the word subscription in our definitions. Going back on the page, going into the script root section. Subscription is a noun. An order for or a pledge to pay for regular copies of a publication, a group of plays or concerts, and so on. So it is the order for some of these things. Okay? So for example, the library has subscriptions to many magazines and newspapers. It could also mean to subscribe, which is a verb. Let's go back to number 3. So, after reading that definition, let's see if any of them fit. Is the subscription a book? Is it a calendar? Is the subscription a newspaper? Or is the subscription an order for the magazine? You're right, it's an order for the magazine. You can have a subscription for a book. You can have a subscription for a calendar. And you could have a subscription for a newspaper. But the only one of these options that fits the word subscription is the one that says it's the order for it. Let's look at number 4. Writing a prescription. So, turn the page, read the definition. Prescription is a noun. It's a thing. An order for medicine or other treatment written by a doctor. This might be important to think about. You can also prescribe would be the verb for prescription. So let's go ahead and go back to number 4. Writing a prescription. Is the prescription a doctor? Is the prescription a payment for medicine, so you're giving money? Is the prescription an order for the medicine? Or is the prescription the pharmacy? Well, I know I have to go to the pharmacy to get a prescription, but the pharmacy is not the prescription itself, so we can eliminate D. I know a doctor writes a prescription, but it doesn't mean the doctor is the prescription, so we're going to eliminate A. Here, these are pretty close. Is it the payment or is it the order? I remember underlining in the definition the word order. So B is the synonym to prescription, the word in the closest meaning or phrase. Number 5, beautiful script. Our options are drawing, handwriting, reading, or printing. Let's turn the page and read the definition for script. Script is a noun. It's a thing. 1. That gives me the hint that there's going to be more than one definition. The text of a play, movie, or broadcast. The text of it. 2. Could be handwriting, is also script. So, knowing that information, let's turn back to our problem. Number 5, a beautiful script. Is a script a drawing? I remember reading in the definition that it had something to do with writing. So I'm going to cross out drawing. Did it have to do with reading? Well, you could read a script, but reading is not an actual script. Is it printing? Oh, it could be. Or is it handwriting? Well, these two options are very close together, but you'll notice that in the definition, handwriting was the second definition for script. So that is going to be the closest synonym. So C is your answer. Let's move on to exercise B. Exercise B is looking for the meaning in context. Context means what it is surrounded by or what the setting is. So we want to find the meaning of the words that fit what they're surrounded by. The directions are to use these words to fill in the blanks in the following paragraph. So the strategy for this style of question is to first read the whole paragraph. Read it all first. Pinky agrees. Once you've read the whole thing, you'll have a better understanding of the context, and it will be easier to eliminate certain words that would not fit in certain sections. Remember, many of these words have similar meanings because they share root words. So it's important to look closely. So let's read the whole paragraph. When she got older, Margaret, a famous author, began thinking about how she would be remembered. As a young woman, she became well known for the humorous of her many plays. Later in life, she traveled widely and wrote about the unusual and interesting people she saw in many countries. Now, she wondered if she should depend upon others to write her or if she should write an giving her life story in her own words. Yes, she decided after some thought she would be her own even if it meant going slowly, one at a time. Now that we've read the whole paragraph, let's read what word options that we have to fill in the blanks. I see we have biography, paragraph, scripts, autobiography, scribe, and geography. Now would be a good time to go back to the definitions on the previous page and read the definitions for each one of these words. Welcome back. Let's read our paragraph again, this time seeing if we can easily fill in any of the answers. When she got older, Margaret, a famous author, began thinking about how she would be remembered. As a young woman, she became well known for the humorous of her many plays. Nothing stands out to me right away except for maybe the words that have script in them because we know it has to do with writing. But I'm going to keep moving on. Later in life, she traveled widely and wrote about the unusual and interesting people she saw in many countries. So we could think about what kind of things would be unusual where there's interesting people and these things are in countries. Are biographies in many countries? Could be. Paragraphs? Definitely not. Maybe scripts. This one doesn't feel right. Not scribes. Geography could possibly work. And so now, take that word and fill it in your brain to see if it sounds correct. She traveled widely and wrote about the unusual geography and interesting people she saw in many countries. Well, I know that geography is talking about the earth, and that would definitely be sometimes unusual in many countries, depending on the landscape. So let's put in geography here. Now remember, I'm using pencil So you could always change it later. But once you fill in a word, it's going to help you if you cross it out from the word bank up at top. So now we have less to choose from for our other answers. Now she wondered if she should depend on others to write her or if she should write an giving her life story in her own words. Well, there's a clue here. We see an before the number 4. Because there's this N, we know that the next word is going to start with a vowel, A, E, I, O, or U. So that is such a great hint. We can take a look up here. A, E, I, O, or U? Ding, ding. There we go. Let's fill in autobiography. I always like to read the sentence again to make sure that it really fits. So, now she wondered if she should depend on others to write her or if she should write an autobiography, giving her life story in her own words. Well, that's the definition of an autobiography right there, so I feel pretty good about that one. Now, she wondered if she should depend on others to write her. Well, we know that autobiography, bio is about life, so we know that auto is about her own life. So if we covered up the word auto, we would still be left with writing, graphy, about life. Writing about life. She wondered if she should depend on others to write her biography. There it is. Cross it out because we've used it. Now we're left with 3 choices. Let's keep reading. Yes, she decided after some thought she would be her own She would be her own paragraph? She's not going to be a paragraph. She would be her own scripts? Well, the scripts is something that you do write. That's the noun. She would be her own scribe. That one feels right. We could always go back and read the definition of scribe. Scribe, one of the nouns, is before the invention of printing was a person who wrote books by hand. So if we go back to our paragraph, she wants to know if she should be the person to write her own scripts by hand. So scribe fits that blank spot. Even if it meant going slowly, one at a time. So we're left with 2. Would she go slowly writing one script at a time or one paragraph at a time? Well, they both kind of fit, so maybe we should take a look up at the other one to see if one of these makes more sense. As a young woman, she became well known for the humorous, now this is where we talked about before, where we thought that would probably be strange if she was famous for just a paragraph. So let's write scripts. Crossing that out, and that leaves us with paragraph. Does it fit? Even if it meant going slowly, one paragraph at a time. Sounds great. Let's move on to exercise C on page 25. Exercise C. Extend your vocabulary. The self prefix means auto, and the life prefix means bio. So self, when you see auto, it means self, and when you see bio, it means life. One of the keywords in this lesson is autobiography. It has 3 meaningful parts. Auto, meaning self, bio, meaning life, and graphy, meaning writing. So, Composing an autobiography is writing the life story of yourself. Autobiography. Writing the life story of yourself. Based on your knowledge of these prefixes, choose the best word to answer each of the following questions. Don't forget, read it all first. So, here are our choices: automobile, automatic, biosphere, biochemistry, and biology. Now would be a great time to pause here and go back and read any of the definitions that you have not used in this lesson so far. Let's read all of our sentences. Which science deals with the chemical composition of plants and animals? In what class do you study living organisms? What do you call the part of the Earth's atmosphere that supports life? What vehicle runs by means of its own motor? How would you describe a piece of machinery that is self-moving? So a great strategy is to start with the one that makes the most sense to you. Ask yourself here, do any of these stand out right away? Well, I know an automobile is a vehicle. We drive in these almost every day. So to me, this is the easy choice. I'm going to cross out automobile and put it where it says a vehicle runs by means of its own motor. Remember, auto means self. So this motor belongs to the vehicle, and it's running by itself. Automobile or automobile. All right, now we're only down to 4. Any others stand out? Well, I remember from up here that bio means life. So these 3 choices are going to have something to do with life. I could probably eliminate that any of those 3 go to number 5 because it's talking about machinery. So let's take a look at 1, 2, or 3. Which science deals with the chemical composition of plants and animals? I notice here that this word has chemistry and this word has chemical. So the life science, the life of plants and the life of animals, and talking about the chemistry of it. Biochemistry. Cross it out because it's done. In what class do you study living organisms? Well, again, living, so it's going to be one of these bios. I know from the front of the book that ology means to study or to learn about. If you take a look in the very front cover of your book, there's a whole list of roots and prefixes. This is a great tool to use if you're not quite sure and you don't remember from previous lessons. If you take a look over here, the logy is the science or the scientist. Okay, so if we go back to page 25, we're going to see that we're studying, like scientists do, life. So living, study of living, biology, study of life. Well, that leaves us with biosphere for number 3, since I know that number 5 has to do with machines. Let's see if it fits. What do you call the part of Earth's atmosphere that supports life? Life, bio. So biosphere, and the sphere is the part that surrounds the Earth, the atmosphere. And by process of elimination, we're left with one answer unused. Let's see if it fits. How would you describe a piece of machinery that is self-moving? Auto, self, matic. Automatic. Fits. If it doesn't fit, that's a good clue to go back and double check some of the other questions that might be similar. That's the end of our roots lesson. Great job.